China's epidemic resurges, with a large number of people dying from white lung. Again? CCP granted visa-free entry to 6 European and Asian countries amid the outbreak. Jinan officials cut off gas to force relocation, angered villagers surrounded. Why China's EV dominance may be coming to an end. It's all covered in today's China Truths. China's epidemic resurges, with a large number of people dying from white lung. The resurgence of the epidemic in China has garnered international attention. Presently, most reports are concentrating on the occurrence of unconfirmed pneumonia clusters in numerous areas, particularly among children. However, reporters from the New Tang Dynasty, NTD, have discovered that a significant number of deaths have already occurred. Mr. Ma, a resident of Beijing, shared his experience. Last month, a friend of mine succumbed to white lung. I went to bury him last week on the 18th due to white lung. I arrived at Babaishan Cemetery before 7 o'clock, and after collecting the ashes, it was 9:05. When the reporter asked him how long it should normally take to collect the ashes, Mr. Ma responded, "Not many people collect ashes. If you collect one, we process the ID verification procedures, and it takes an average of 5 minutes per person." How many people do you think there were that morning? On November 21st, a netizen posted a memorial to their departed grandfather, who passed away due to heart failure, kidney failure, and white lung. The individual discovered a string of comments beneath, sharing similar grief. My grandfather also passed away on October 30th. My grandfather succumbed on November 6th, a result of post-COVID complications leading to white lung. My grandfather also departed on the 10th. Moreover, on social media platforms in China, numerous users shared posts detailing the deaths of family members or colleagues between September and November, all exhibiting symptoms of white lung. This included children. A mother disclosed that her 9-month-old baby couldn't withstand mycoplasma pneumonia and passed away. There were also young adults. A netizen mentioned their 28-year-old nephew who developed white lung and passed away 7 days later, and a customer service manager in their 30s who succumbed to white lung this weekend, from illness to death in less than a week. Several elderly individuals also succumbed. A user remarked, "Several elderly relatives have unfortunately passed away due to complications from coronavirus, and I almost attend a cremation ceremony every month." On November 19th, former mainland media person Zhao Longjian initially exposed a renewed outbreak of the epidemic in Dalian on the overseas social platform X. From the information he gathered domestically, there were also cases of children's deaths due to pneumonia. Currently, Chinese media is not reporting on the significant number of deaths. Zhao Longjian also discovered that information about the outbreak in Dalian has been censored on Sino Weibo. When he disclosed this information overseas, he immediately faced attacks from dozens of the Chinese Communist Party's 50-cent army. Zhao said, "Releasing it that day would be too terrifying. At least dozens of the 50-cent army came to attack." The video provided by my friend in Dalian was shared with me one-on-one on WeChat, but it was never sent out. The entire video was deleted by WeChat. So, you can consider it a unified strategy implemented by China's Internet Management Department, both on Sino Weibo and WeChat. The Chinese Communist Party abruptly abandoned its zero-COVID policy at the end of last year without any preparation, leading to medical overcrowding, numerous deaths, and long queues at crematoriums. Many families welcomed 2023 amidst the grief of bidding farewell to loved ones. Now, as the year approaches its end, the epidemic is resurging, and the World Health Organization has already warned the Chinese people to take precautions. However, the Chinese authorities have not provided an emergency plan or protective guidance, and they haven't even disclosed the correct diagnosis. According to NTD, in the latest development, when questioned by the World Health Organization, the CCP asserts that they have not detected any abnormalities or new pathogens. Chinese child injects while doing homework. Reportedly, a 15-year-old girl took her life. A parent of an ailing child in Zhengzhou, Hunan, shared a photo on social media, revealing a scene in the hospital's infusion room where children were seated, receiving 4 drips on one side, and doing homework on the other. She was profoundly surprised witnessing this scenario. The image of children doing homework in the hospital has generated criticism and public outcry. Some netizens pointed out that the typical symptoms of respiratory infectious diseases, such as fever, dizziness, and fatigue, make it challenging even to lie down, let alone engage in complex learning activities. It is considered too harsh for these unwell children to be forced to do homework. However, many parents of these children have expressed their difficulties, stating, "The school doesn't suspend classes, and we have no choice." There are also circulating online reports about a 15-year-old honor student who reportedly took her life by jumping off a building. The information suggests that the school was closed for a week due to an outbreak of mycoplasma. Despite feeling unwell, the student was allegedly compelled by her parents to attend online classes and complete homework at home, leading her to take such a drastic step. Chinese doctor, new virus emerges in China, with 2.5 times higher infectivity than the flu. Wang Chuini, deputy director of the Beijing Center for Disease Control and Prevention and chief epidemiologist, shared with mainland media that mycoplasma pneumoniae is no longer the primary reason for pediatric visits in Beijing. The current top 3 causes are influenza, adenovirus, and respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, with RSV now ranking 3rd. Dr. Gao Weiwei, director of the Newborn Respiratory Specialty Department at Guangdong Women and Children's Healthcare Hospital, noted that the infectivity of RSV is approximately 2.5 times that of influenza. Severe RSV infections in children aged 0 to 1 year may significantly impact their lung function, potentially lasting for an extended period. RSV is an RNA virus transmitted through respiratory droplets, close contact, or contaminated hands and surfaces. Common symptoms in children after RSV infection include fever, cough, nasal congestion, and a runny nose. Adults may experience mild symptoms such as low-grade fever, cough, nasal congestion, and a runny nose after infection. Similar to the situations with the novel coronavirus and mycoplasma pneumoniae, there is currently no commercially available RSV vaccine or specific treatment in China. However, the symptoms of this virus generally alleviate after a period of treatment. Overseas experts harbor suspicions that Chinese authorities may still be concealing the true extent of the epidemic. They posit that the swift escalation of various outbreaks may be linked to a combined outbreak of COVID-19 and multiple viruses. Again? CCP granted visa-free entry to 6 European and Asian countries amid the outbreak. Amid the pervasive strain on hospitals due to multiple virus outbreaks across China, the Chinese Communist Party has announced a 1-year trial of a one-way visa-free policy for 6 European and Asian countries, encompassing citizens of France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Spain, and Malaysia, starting from early December. The timing of this decision, aligning with the surge in disease cases, has raised suspicions about its true intentions. In more detail, on November 24, Mao Ning, the spokesperson for the CCP's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, stated that China would unilaterally waive visa requirements for ordinary passport holders from the mentioned countries. This policy, effective from December 1, 2023, to November 30, 2024, permits citizens of these nations to enter China for business, tourism, family visits, and transit for up to 15 days without a visa. In explaining the reason for visa exemption, Mao Ning claimed that it was for the so-called convenience of facilitating exchanges between Chinese and foreign individuals, promoting services, and fostering openness to the outside world. However, netizens have questioned the CCP's ulterior motives, suggesting that it might be repeating the same tactics and opening the door to poison. The COVID-19 virus has spread globally. In contrast to the CCP's claims that the virus originated in Wuhan in 2019, its concealment and dissemination of misinformation regarding the preventability and controllability of the epidemic, coupled with the assertion that it was not transmitted between humans, led to the situation spiraling out of control and spreading rapidly worldwide. In early 2020, Wuhan officials acknowledged that over 5 million people had left the city due to the combination of the new year and the epidemic, dispersing to various countries globally. Persisting for 3 years, the epidemic has triggered multiple crises, including a global economic slowdown, turmoil in the real estate sector, and a rising unemployment rate. The CCP's enforcement of a 3-year zero-COVID policy has resulted in ongoing secondary disasters, economic stagnation, and widespread public dissatisfaction. Failing to achieve zero COVID, in December of the previous year, the CCP chose to fully reopen during the active winter season of the virus. Hospitals throughout China became overwhelmed, healthcare workers continued to work despite being ill, and funeral homes and crematoriums across the nation struggled to manage the surge. Amid the significant outbreak, in January 2023, the CCP abruptly lifted quarantine restrictions for epidemic entry and reinstated travel restrictions for Chinese citizens going abroad. This move has raised international suspicions that the CCP might be employing the same strategies as the external poisoning tactics seen in 2020. While the epidemic in most countries globally gradually stabilizes or experiences a slight increase, there is no widespread occurrence of severe cases and deaths. Notably, special reports from the Epoch Times have long highlighted that the virus is targeting the CCP, aiming to eliminate factors associated with the Chinese Communist Party. Jinan officials cut off gas to force relocation, angered villagers surrounded. On November 23, in Luqiao Village, Jinan District, Jinan City, Shandong Province, China, a land acquisition project was initiated for the construction of a reservoir by the local government. However, due to the inadequate compensation offered to villagers for their land, it sparked collective opposition, with villagers refusing to sign agreements. Despite this, local government officials continued to go to the village, attempting to compel the villagers to leave, but they were met with fierce resistance from the angered villagers. In the video, it can be seen that local government officials were surrounded by a large number of protesting villagers as they moved, with villagers recording videos on their phones to safeguard their rights. Some villagers claimed that, in order to force them to relocate, the local government even employed extreme measures, including cutting off gas supplies. Although the Chinese government revised the regulations on the implementation of the land management law in 2021 to reduce conflicts over land acquisition with the people, with the core principle of ensuring the land rights of farmers, rumors about land rights issues continue to abound. Consequently, people find it necessary to resort to more assertive means to defend their rights. Why China's EV dominance may be coming to an end. Amid global geopolitical tension and the need to reduce sourcing risks, countries including the United States and businesses worldwide are seeking alternatives to China for their sources of raw materials, particularly for electric vehicles, EVs. As much of the Western world attempts to pivot away from fossil fuels and toward alternative energy sources, the EV industry has emerged as an essential component in this effort. However, as is the case for the vast majority of critical raw materials for many industry sectors, China dominates the EV supply chain, with 80% of the global raw material refining in the lithium-ion battery supply chain, 77% of the world's cell capacity, and 60% of the world's component manufacturing. But China's dominance in the EV supply chain could soon be coming to an end. A research note released on Thursday by Natixis said, China's advantage may not sustain very long as other countries have realized China's dominance in the EV sector and stepped up their response to go around it, with the best example being the US IRA, referring to the Inflation Reduction Act signed by President Joe Biden in August 2022. The note added, EVs can be the next geopolitical battlefield after semiconductors, especially on batteries, pointing out that the IRA will limit the ability of China's expansion and in favor of other countries, such as Korea. According to Natixis, aside from geopolitics, the Chinese EV sector's leadership is facing additional headwinds, including competition from other countries and the fact that the demand-supply balance within China may be tilt-ing with challenges in profitability. Natixis added that China's recent EV price war demonstrates the potential risks of lower profit margins. Any rapid increase in capacity combined with a decrease in demand may raise concerns about overcapacity. Countries such as the United States, Germany, Norway, Japan, and South Korea that have developed EV markets and promise significant potential are also already posing significant competition to China's EV dominance. While U.S. EV makers like Tesla, General Motors, and Ford are present in China, no Chinese EV is made in the United States. Moreover, European luxury EV brands, including Mercedes, BMW, and Volkswagen, sell about a third of their EVs in China. In addition, Germany has created critical technologies for specific portions of the EV battery tech value chain, such as recycling, and has been at the forefront of testing innovative battery chemistries such as sodium-ion batteries. Anxiety about China's control. The sudden rise in EV sales during the COVID-19 outbreak combined with escalating geopolitical tensions emerging from the Russia-Ukraine conflict and U.S.-China tensions has increased the EV industry's anxiety about China's control over EV supply chains. The dangers of industry concentration are often exacerbated by inadequate substitution and recycling rates. In EV batteries, for example, there is no substitute for lithium. Australia, Chile, and China account for more than 80% of global lithium production, with China also controlling more than 50% of global processing and refining. According to Atlas Public Policy, despite the fact that new EV car sales are likely to reach a record 9%, up from 7% in 2022, of all passenger vehicles in the United States this year, the nation lags behind countries like Germany, China, and Norway. According to Reuters, the White House said, but for the supply chain issues that impacted the auto industry's ability to fulfill all of the federal government's zero-emission vehicles orders in fiscal year 2022, ZEVs would have achieved approximately 20% of acquisitions in 2022. Consequently, while the United States has taken several steps to boost EV adoption and move towards self-sufficiency, lawmakers are also worried about China's adversarial actions impacting the country's supply chains. Over the past few months, China has been restricting exports of materials vital to electric vehicle batteries, which has been interpreted as retaliation for U.S. restrictions on technology sales to China. For instance, on Monday, House Energy and Commerce Committee Chair Cathy McMorris Rodgers, Republican Washington, Energy, Climate, and Grid Security Subcommittee Chair Jeff Duncan, Republican South Carolina, and Environment, Climate, and Grid Security Subcommittee Chair Bill Johnson, Republican Ohio, wrote to Department of Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm expressing concerns about China's recent moves to cut off American access to critical minerals that play a significant role in the nation's security, economy, and as a critical energy resource. That aside, to meet President Biden's goal of having 50% of all new vehicle sales be electric by 2030, the White House unveiled a package of public and commercial commitments in April under the EV Acceleration Challenge to promote the U.S. auto industry's transition to electric. These commitments were made as part of the Investing in America plan, which aims to enhance domestic manufacturing, strengthen supply chains, increase U.S. competitiveness, and generate well-paying employment. Similarly, Europe today is almost totally reliant on China for procurement in certain portions of the EV chain, such as raw material refining. Consequently, in September, the European Union pledged to shield the region's auto industry from a race to the bottom by investigating Chinese state subsidies for electric vehicle manufacturers. Ursula von der Leyen, head of the European Commission, also expressed concern that China's state subsidies for its automakers could undermine competitiveness in the bloc and threaten Europe's manufacturing sector. According to a note released by ING in early November, given that Chinese brands already offer cheaper models, these cars are likely to gain market share in Western Europe and attract potential regulatory intervention, i.e., imposing higher tariffs on Chinese brands. Experts say net zero policies are driving the shift toward electrified transportation, and the world's automobile sector is under increasing pressure to adapt to this change. This is prompting politicians and businesses to concentrate strategically on how to safeguard the accompanying economic gains and build the required supply chains. Against this backdrop, according to the Natixis note, the road to success of Chinese EV makers will likely face restrictions from foreign government policies, such as a preferential treatment for friendshoring and supply chain security. Don't forget to comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. If you find the information helpful, please share this video with a friend to watch together. This will be a great source of motivation for our team to produce more and more quality and reliable videos. And also don't forget to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths. Thank you for tuning in.